G'day. In this video I want to answer three questions. How do you set up the pit speed limiter on this BMW S1000RR? This is a 2016-2015 model, and this will apply to all the models up to but excluding the 2020 model. The second question is, how do you operate the pit speed limiter safely, whether you're on the road or running through the pits on a racetrack? And the third question is, what are the different speeds that you get for the different RPM settings that are available to you with this particular motorcycle? So to get through the first part, or answer the first question, what I'm going to do is get into the setup menu, and I'm going to utilize the trip and the set button on the left-hand handlebar to do that. So I'm just going to press set, little short press, and it allows me to scroll through until I find the setup menu. And I do a long press of the set button and I enter the menu. And then I scroll through until I find the setup racetrack. So it's the third one in there. Then long press of set to enter it. And now I can scroll through the racetrack menu. So scrolling through, it's right towards the end. What you'll find is that you get to the little function here that says race pit limit. And in this case, by default, it's turned off. Now, this is really important to understand that it's not going to be on when you get the motorcycle. So if you go out there thinking the pit speed limit is going to work, and you press the start button and roll that throttle on, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to ride normally. So in the first instance, we need to turn it on. And to do that, all I simply do is hold down the set button for a long press until it starts flashing. So now it's flashing. All I use now is the scroll button, the trip and the set button to scroll up or down and move through the RPM settings. And you notice the RPM settings move in 100 RPM increments. So I'm going to take it up to 4,000 RPM. We'll set it at that limit, and basically what that's going to do is when you activate the pit speed limiter by holding in the start button and roll the gas on, then it's going to control the speed to 4,000 RPM in first gear. And to set that, all I simply do is hold the set button for a long press, and it stops flashing, and then I can continue to exit the setup menu. So right, so I'm now out of the setup menu. Now, to answer the other two questions, we need to take the motorcycle out on the road, and what we're going to do is I'll show you how it operates. Like I said, I tell people there's a few little tips that you need to be aware of in the operation of this if you want to do it safely. And then we'll have a bit of a play with the RPM settings and see what sort of speed we get. So let's go on the road. So what we're going to do is just show you how it actually operates. And the pit speed limiter is quite a simple thing, provided you got the function turned on. Now, all we've got to simply do is utilize the bottom of the start button. Okay, and we hold that in, and that activates the pit speed limiter in first gear. So imagine now we're coming into the pits. So we're slowing down, and as we slow down, we go back to first gear. Right, we turn into the pits, and all we simply do to activate it is hold in the start button and then roll the throttle up, and it will stop at the revolutions that you set when you set up the thing. So this is set at 3.5 RPM, and it's doing about 40 kilometers an hour. Now, I release it, and we're back to normal. Now, a couple of things about it. First of all, you can set this anywhere from 3,500 RPM up to 8,000 RPM. 3,500 is about 40 kilometers an hour, and that is relevant to a lot of racetracks that I've certainly visited. Now, a few little tips. First of all, don't activate this or try it unless you're sure you've set it up. The second thing is, when you utilize it, hold in the start button and then slowly roll on the throttle. Don't go full throttle, because if your thumb slips off that start button, you're going to be in first gear at full throttle. The thing will wheel stand out of control. Well, or in control, depending on the person riding it, I guess. But it will cause big problems for you. So, a couple little tips there. So what I'll do is I'll just show you how it works again. All I simply do is slow down to first gear, hold it in, and then roll the gas on, and it will hold it at the RPM. Okay, pretty simple. Now, here's a question I get asked. Does it work in sport mode? Well, only one way to find out. I'm going to flick it across to sport mode, away from the setting I've got user setting or slick setting where it normally works. Go back to first. Let's just see if it works. I hold the throttle, button in. Okay, works in sport mode as well. Okay, let's just reset it, and this time we'll take it up to 5,000 RPM and have a look at that. So, okay, let's just see what it does. 5,000 RPM. Holding the set button, holding the start button, I mean. Okay, 56, 57 kilometers per hour at 5,000 RPM. So that's pretty much it. Just want to reinforce a couple of things again. Don't try it unless you've set it up. The second thing is, when you hold that start button in, roll the throttle up until it starts to, limit the speed. Don't go full throttle, because if you drop that thumb, you're in big trouble. Nothing to it but to go and try it. See you later.